I mean, I think I just reconnected, but like my internet just
Uh,
straight up like stopped for a bit. I'm not
when
sure
did
what
we?
was
Yeah,
going on
when did
there.
we stop?
Okay, yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay, but yeah. Anyways, please do check out Sorto Umino Aida if you did like more girls in club doing stuff. It's not really a slower slice of life or people really kind of talking necessarily about how space fishing feels or whatever. It's not some sort of weird um, space dandy cowboy bebop kind of thing where they imagine like a scenario and then they live through it. It's more just like,
So,
yeah, they're space
what?
fishing huge monsters, these girls,
Yeah,
and
all
they're
right. So
doing
Gargantia, but still in space.
well. I mean, if you think
You're
about it,
spending
though,
way too much goddamn time on this.
yeah, if you think about it, let me just like answer that. But
The series
if
on
you
the
really,
4.8 read.
if you really think about it, though, how much fishing did Gargantia really do? It's not really much. Most of
After like what? A lot?
no,
What?
not
Yeah,
really.
they were fighting the space jellyfish, and then they were fighting the land
Fighting the
jellyfish in
space
space.
jellyfish is not.
Excuse
They're
me,
not.
Spire, but they're in space. They are in space. They're just in water balls in space.
They're not. Just
You can you
because.
can you can even count regular fishing as in space because we're on Earth,
Just
which is
because
in space.
just because they started going into the exploration thing where they had to find out that the space jellyfish were, you know,
Wow, spoilers.
part of the spirits of blah blah blah, like all this garbage, right? Just because that happened doesn't mean that they continually show before that they had to get rid of, or they had to fight against the space jellyfish, or they had to make living off the sea in their daily lives. Gargantia didn't really show any of that, and do you know why? It's because Urobuchi is not very good at showing at directing stuff that's not huge, fantastical works. Okay, so that's
I don't
why.
know, man. Fate Zero's pretty good.
Yeah, because it was a huge like what? I literally just said.
I don't know, man.
Small,
Kamen Rider
lesser
Gaim,
known
pretty
series.
good.
Oh my god!
Kamen
But,
Rider, also lesser known franchise.
Kamen Rider, very
Very
specific,
short.
very detailed.
Only
It's
had like
very
very
3
customized.
grounded.
episodes.
Very. But yeah, that was more or less my take on.
So would you recommend it? Or
Again, if you like similar, I don't think it's that dissimilar to what some of the stuff other people have been watching recently, such as again Release of Spice, Anima Yell, so on and so forth. Again, the audio visuals, as we discussed, are pretty whack, but if you like this sort of concept, then please do check it out. So that was my opinion on it. So we should move on from this right on to. I keep forgetting the freaking name of this.
Hinamaru Zumo?
Yeah, Hinamaru Zumo. So this is a sumo series, manga original, I believe, right? Shonen manga original.
It's anime original.
What?
It's anime original.
Is it really?
No,
No, it's not.
It's a manga original.
It's made in Shonen Jump. Is it?
Yes.
I think it's Shonen Jump.
So it is dubbed by Gonzo. I don't think I really need to explain who Gonzo
You
is.
do.
No, you don't.
Because I got some questions about the animation.
I mean, Gonzo has not
I
done
believe
like.
I believe the answer to all of those questions is it's Gonzo.
You realize you're talking about the studio who's done stuff like Blade and Soul, Seiyu's Life, Akiba's Trip the Animation, and 18F in recent years, right? So it's kind of.
What's their
and-
good stuff that they've been doing?
You know what their good stuff is? Zentai Boy Vibe, man.
Oh, that was a good one.
The best thing Gonzo ever did was the very first season of Strike Witches.
What? Oh,
You Rosario Vampire both seasons.
I don't know,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I don't know, man. Didn't they do Full Metal Panic?
Did they? I don't remember.
Yeah, they did.
Okay,
Correct.
that was a long time
You
ago,
mean-
though. So
You mean Bokurano?
Bokurano's pretty good.
Yeah,
Don't hate.
The manga is definitely good. I forget how the anime turned out.
Oh, they did Chrono Crusade. That's a good one too.
But anyways,
It's like
keep going.
2000. Oh,
Toast, do you want to give us a quick
so
summary?
so Hidemaru Sumo is about
Quick summary.
a short dude who's like, I want to be a sumo Yokozuna, and he was a child, what is it, an elementary school sumo prodigy. But as time went on, he learned that he's a short guy. He didn't grow as tall as the other dudes. So while he stayed mostly the same height, other people his age grew taller and fatter. So he's all like, so he started losing when he was in middle school, and then the Yokozuna is like, train 10 more years, and you'll be good. And so he trained 10 years. That now he's in high school, and he joins a ragtag group of non-sumo dudes who make a sumo club, and this is his journey about even though he's a short dude, he's been training to become sumo or yokozuna, and this is his path to becoming the yokozuna.
I got a quick question for you. You said he started losing in middle school,
Yeah,
and then you said that the guy told him to train for 10 years, but now he's in high school.
yeah, he's still training. Don't worry about
Is
it.
he like?
Okay, so he's still in the process of training for 10
Okay.
years.
You never stop. You never stop training on your path. On
I was
yokozuna.
This man's been in
Is
high
this just
school
a
for
man?
10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is just a person who's just like
Maybe
a
it was-
jacked 30-year-old beating up fucking 16-year-olds and
Maybe it was 5 years. I don't know. Yeah, it's sumo. So it's my usual sports anime of the season, and it's pretty good. Yeah, I like it. It's definitely worth the Haikyuu slot of this season, where it's the sports anime from Shonen Jump that's really good.
How gay is this?
I don't know.
Very important
What's
question.
is your favorite sound effect the sounds of men slapping each other?
No, not particularly.
Like
It
there's
is
a
for
lot
me.
there's a lot of going on in here.
Uh-huh.
Like you seen that one the famous clip with Billy Harrington and the other guy's name? Donnie Darko?
Yeah, Donnie Darko.
I don't know about that.
What's the guy's name?
It's
Dan
definitely
Darko?
not Donnie Darko.
Damien Darko, is that it? You know the guy who's like in the leather outfit. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
What is that guy's name?
It's Van Darkholm, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's how gay stuff all he usually turns them in. They go, yeah, fuck you, and then they just go straight into the sex scene, right?
I'd watch that anime.
You know, it's
Fuck
then they take off their clothes until they're in their sumo loincloths, and then they begin slapping each other and attempting to wrestle each other to the ground. So there's a lot more open hand, less wrestling on the ground, because in sumo, the only parts of your body that can touch the ground are the soles of your feet. Anything else, you lose. So your main methods of beating a person are knocking them out of the ring with slaps and throws and stuff, or wrestling them to the ground.
Is like isn't what I'm kind of confused about is like I know obviously like there are definitely people in sumo that are normal, relatively normal size, right? Especially younger people or like people that are at like a more amateur level, right? But it's like how many like fat people do they show in like the
You know sumo wrestlers are not really fat, right?
I mean
They may look fat, but that's all muscle. You see how they have them
No.
thick thighs?
That's not true. That's
I don't-
not how that works.
I don't think
That
that's
second guy from the right, that is, if that was muscle, I'm pretty sure his bone structure would be fucking, just gone,
You
collapsed
know
in on
how
himself.
sumo they need mass. You know, it's all very scientific.
no. I'm not. I'm not like,
pushing and
I'm
pulling.
not fat
Listen,
shaming.
I mean,
I'm not fat shaming.
mass. Yeah,
just
mass is
I'm
one thing. I mean, these are sumo wrestlers.
I'm just asking. Like, I don't. I'm not like fat shaming or anything, but I'm just asking like how many like people in the series are like super big and like fat or whatever compared to like normal sized people in
How
the
many
series.
how many fat, disgusting bastards are in the show? So Spire can
Like
get
really fat,
really into it.
really fat guys, like one or two. The rest are
Oh,
pretty.
That's not authentic sumo wrestling.
Like the
so
rest
it's
are
like
they're pretty. They're pretty muscly dudes who
yeah,
got the
okay.
big gut because they eat a lot of chanko nabe.
So it's like it's almost like in the spirit of more like a Baki kind of thing, where it's like a lot of them are kind of just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
sure.
more like gar kind of stuff than focusing on
I mean,
whatever stuff
yeah.
they're working.
One
Yeah.
of the parallels I was drawing is this is very much like Baki, like you said, or maybe Ippo,
Mhm.
or kind of thing, where he's got his work goes his way to the top. He's got a dream, except Ippo doesn't have a dream. That loser. But yeah, it's there's a lot of sumo stuff. I really like the animation style.
Is it a
But
normal style or what is happening? What's going on?
I like I started this from the manga. I like how the manga looks. It's very how do I what's that Street Fighter 5 animation style where it's very like ink brush painting, lots of dark lines and whatnot. It looks good.
Mhm.
In
I'm sorry, you just used Street Fighter 5 and looks good in the same sentence, so it kind of
This looks
like throwing me
pretty
for a loop.
standard, like sports series, like pencil drawing with
sure,
Hinamara's sumo for
It
me.
looks like Shonen Jump series, yeah.
yeah, it looks very highly high quality scans. Must be because it's in Shonen Jump. But yeah,
Probably.
what I gotta say? It's what five. This is a 24 episode anime. 5 or 6 episodes in. I gotta say, like I've said, the animation style looks good, but only when they're like standing still, not the
Yeah, when they
these.
whenever they're like there's more than like two people on the screen, it seems kind of like they kind of start throwing it to the dogs. But what? Oh, dude, this is like yo. I just saw this thing where it's like somebody threw them, and it's like there's like a background, like it's Japanese like wall scroll background, and it's like Crescent Moon. Is this like a Prince of Tennis kind of thing? Like when like they do like the moves and stuff like that, or they do the
Yeah,
techniques?
that's the good stuff. But I wouldn't say Prince of Tennis. I'd say more something like what's a recent one? Dark. I was talking to you this before. What was the one anime that I compared this to? What was it?
Shit, you don't remember.
It was Keijo. You know,
I mean, isn't
Oh, okay,
Keijo
okay,
kind
okay,
of
okay,
Prince of
okay.
Tennis though?
you know how Keijo, like despite the premise of it, it had really good fight scenes, quote unquote, where whenever they did a special attack, they had they had the name flash and whatnot.
Mhm.
I really liked that about Keijo. It made it look really fancy
I mean,
and super
Cage
powered.
definitely kind of just did whatever it wanted. It didn't really care about, you know what I mean?
And I, what I, this is where I have a problem with the actual Hinamaru's, like the fight scenes in Hinamaru. They're not very dynamic. They're not as dynamic as Keijo's are, or heck, even Ippo's, because this is the way sumo is. It's what 2 or 3 minutes of it's 2 or 3 minutes of constant, like
Just for
100%
position.
of of your body's strength against another dude. And
Yeah, I
so
mean,
everything ends in an instant. You'd
I mean,
expect these to be like high tension battles where a lot of sweating and grunting and lots of
grunting.
fancy anime effects.
I mean,
Not
I
so.
mean, part of like what you're describing. It's like that's sort of also why Japan, like, in terms of like anime and or in terms of like more popular anime or manga, it's like that's why there's more stuff like boxing and martial arts, right, compared to stuff like wrestling, for instance, where it's like with like actual wrestling, not like pro wrestling kind of stuff. So because wrestling, grappling, stuff like that is actual like real world grappling, real world wrestling is very sort of jousting for position, doing the sudden like reversals and stuff like that, and it's not really these sorts of drawn out flashy fights or anything like that. So that could be a sort of part of it. Again, what you're talking about.
What was that? You guys have been on the internet for a while, right? What was that? Well, those old clips of if anime sumo wrestling where it was a bunch of real dudes sumo wrestling, but they added like Dragon Ball Z effects to it. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I don't know about it being applied to sumo wrestlers, but I can see what you're talking about.
I'm gonna link it here in Discord. This is what I wanted from Hinamaru Zumo. Lots of speed lines and wind effects and jet turbine stuff. I like Hippo, man.
Well, human beings don't have jet turbines on them. So.
I don't know, man. You seen Hippo? When he does
I
that
don't know,
dip
man. Have
roll,
you
he
seen a
turns on
sumo
the turbine.
wrestler? How do they get that big? Think about it.
Yeah, have you seen Keijo where they get their butt key
Oh my god!
riled up and it causes an explosion and ripples? That's the good stuff.
Dude, once I center my key, I'm fucking immovable, okay?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Episode 1 had this really cool part where Hinamaru was charging against the delinquent guy, and everything turned black. Everything turned black and white, and there was just this bunch of like black lines going in. They removed all the color, and it looked really good. You know that effect that I'm talking about?
Sure, dude.
Not really.
Sorry, what
Saitama.
were you saying?
You know the Saitama versus Boros fight where one part of it was black and white and a bunch of lines?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Kind of
like
that's a very, very old animation technique.
If most of the wrestling or the sumo was like that when things got really super
Well,
heated up.
if they did that every
what I'm
fight,
like.
it wouldn't be very special.
It also wouldn't be very sumo.
Yeah, you only do that for like extreme, like very important stuff.
Extreme sumo.
Like,
But
like
that's
if
the
somebody's getting fucking vaporized or something,
vaporized by sumo.
I don't think.
I don't
sumo
know,
wrestlers
man.
vaporize
The
each other.
later episodes when the stuff gets serious, when they get into tournament arcs, there's stuff like that where he's got the fire in his eyes and whatnot.
When we're going into another weight class, you're gonna see some serious shit going on.
Instead of ultra instinct, he goes into his high tension mode.
But I mean,
What I'm trying to say is these early episodes where they're just building up the cast and characters
Mhm.
is pretty slow. But when I want my hot-blooded sumo wrestling and manga that I read.
Well, I mean, I think it is still somewhat trying to keep it tame for the most part, depending on what the author wants. But we'll probably see how it goes. It still seems, from what you described, it still seems pretty interesting to watch as a sports series. So might end up checking it out.
This is the thing where I'm like at this moment, at this current moment in the anime, up to episode I think 5 is.
Mhm.
It's a case where the manga looks better than the anime so far. So far.
You mean visually?
Visually, yes.
Okay.
Visually with the important scenes. This is the stuff where stills look better in the manga than movement in the anime.
Well, they probably took more. I mean, the mangaka probably took more care of those specific scenes, as usually does happen in stuff like action or sword scenes, right? So you can't. It's not easy to replicate those sorts of stills. To be fair.
Like I don't. That's probably my biggest complaint about the anime is that I've read the manga and I know how good it can look. So I'm just hoping that my expectations are not what's the word? They don't let me down like Diablo Immortal.
They Hopefully, you mean you don't want to be disappointed, essentially?
I don't want to be disappointed. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well.
The reason why you want to watch this is you get hot blood slapping sumo action.
You think so? I mean, I think from what you described, it's plenty interesting enough as is. I mean,
Sure,
but
but
yeah, I mean,
why,
I agree. I agree that it would be cool to have that sort
why
of
would you watch Ippo if you don't watch it for the super cool boxing scenes? Other than the humor, that's
yeah.
funny. I'm sorry, but this does not have Ippo level humor. But that's fine.
Okay. But anyways, again, I guess thank you, Tess, for
Would I recommend this? Yes, I would definitely
Yeah, okay.
recommend this. This is
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
definitely the best sports anime of this season. It's got a lot of how
Is
can
it
she
like the
slap?
old? Actually, there's the running
No,
one.
there's
but
the running one. But who
yeah.
cares about running?
The running one is not
Why
that good.
running
Yeah,
when you can see
slapping sumos.
There's a Kiwani series too.
when you
It's
can
still
see
an
the
accident.
when you can see the guy in the leather club 2 blocks down saying "fuck you," and they'll be like, "No, fuck you, leatherhead," and they start grappling.
Yeah.
Did I yeah, did I say anything good? I don't remember what I said about this show. It's good, yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Again, thank you, Toast, for helping us cover this series. Again,
There's a reason. There's a reason why it's in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, if you do want to check out the sports series, again, it's not it's quite decent for this season, so please do check it out. And with that, we will finally move on to what we probably should have maybe covered sooner, but I mean, people have
All
to
right.
talk about it anyways. But
Let's talk about.
We couldn't cover it soon.
yeah, that is true. There are other series
Yeah,
we also
let's
need to
talk
cover.
about Goblin Slayer.
God damn. But yeah, this the series that we did want to cover this time around, and Nier is going to help us lead it off, is SSS.
I didn't
No,
volunteer
you left
for
out
this.
an S.
No,
You left out
I
an-
thought somebody said something. That's why. Okay.
What does the S stand
SS
for?
Gridman.
Yeah, SSSS Gridman. SSSS Gridman. Excuse me.
What does the S stand for?
It's pronounced Gridman.
Is that parcel tongue?
Yes. I believe the SSSS stands for, apparently it stands for Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, and cyber is with an S.
Yeah, samurai, huh?
Samurai,
There's
like
so many of them.
like samurai pizza cats.
Yeah, like Samurai Caliber, dude.
Yeah.
But I guess I've been volunteered to head this off.
Mhm.
So Gridman is the trigger show of the series, so it's automatically good.
Also, there's no A1 to fuck
Yeah,
this up.
there's nobody to hold trigger back, so be aware. It's only Trigger's fault. So Gridman is a spin-off of Sentai series, and sorry. So Gridman's like a really, really old series, back when Ultraman was big hip hopping, and so like the original Gridman, I haven't watched it personally, but I think it's like
So this is like a reboot, kinda.
it's like a reimagining. I think it's
Alright.
or like a weird like continuation like spin-off thing where it's like, the original Gridman happened, but like, nobody remembers it or anything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like Dankuga Nova, about with the regular Dankuga. All right, I got you.
Sure, yeah. So the original Gridman was, your basic Ultra series, guy, big samurai, Ultraman looking thing, fights monsters. But Gridman was set in like this weird computer cyberspace thing, because back then technology was scary, and he fought like weird like tech monsters and stuff, and it's a weird series. I haven't watched it. But this one, I guess, I don't know if it's supposed to take place after, or if it's a reboot, or just a reimagining, or what. But it starts off with the hero, Hibiki Yuta, who has amnesia, very conveniently. He doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't remember any of his friends. He doesn't remember where he lives. doesn't remember what kind of person he was. The whole 9 yards. He's a blank slate. And then he wakes up in some girl's house, and she's like, "Yo, you passed out." And he's like, "Okay." And then he starts hearing voices in his head, and then he goes up to a old ass looking computer, and the grid man starts talking to him, and he says, basically, "You're the chosen one, and you gotta do your mission."
Right.
And then, shortly after, some world building happens. They're pretty much just in a generic Tokyo. The high school students doing high school student stuff, and
Mhm.
then the main character sees like these big, like dead. I assume they're dead. Like kaiju just standing around the city, and he's like, "What's up with all the kaiju?" And everyone around him is like, "What are you talking about? You fucking weirdo."
What's the deal with kaijus?
So
Yeah.
so nobody else can see them, except for him, right? And then another kaiju shows up. He turns into Gridman. Everyone panics. He fights the monster, and he beats it. But like three high school students, they die
Right.
in the accident. And then the next day passes. And then the girl he was with, the main character, and I guess the glasses sidekick, they all remember the kaiju attacking. They all remember the three girls that died, but nobody else does. Their desks are gone. The city is completely repaired the day after, and nobody remembers the kaiju. The news isn't reporting on it, and
Right.
so it's like the city gets like completely reset, right? But they remember it,
Right.
and so they go around to like the girls' houses, and the parents are like, "Oh, they died in middle school years ago." So the
Yeah,
series,
that's some corpse party stuff.
is kind of, I guess, sort of like the mystery of what's up with the city, like why is it constantly resetting and stuff, and then the rest of it is pretty much just uh, kind of the standard trigger character tropes interacting with each other, on top of your classic, very very classic Ultraman series kind
Mhm.
of format of monster shows up, you fight the monster, and then before that or after that there's some like people drama, and the plot progresses. But other than that, it's very much a very standard tokusatsu series. Very much, it seems to be very much Trigger's like love letter to tokusatsu series.
So yeah. So my question is obviously with these sorts of series that you do mention that there is a sort of a backbone. One of the backbones, right, is the whole why is this town resetting, the whole amnesia thing, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, there are a lot of similar series that have this sort of backbone, but it's a matter of a lot of them oftentimes also have this thing where they make the killing of the monsters the episodic thing or mini arc, whatever it is. They make that essentially 80 to 90%, and then they have the 10% is they move that sort of other plot, which is again the thing that you mentioned about the city or the mystery of our powers or whatever, right? They move that at a snail's pace along on the side, right?
Yeah.
So how is that balance?
Um,
Is it like what I described, or is it much more central because maybe they obviously need this series to end at some sort of finite time, or what's going on there?
well, I mean, the people stuff is much more of a focus in this compared to like other tokusatsu stuff.
Right.
So I'd say it's like, um, in most episodes, it's like 60 to 40% people stuff,
Okay.
and then the rest
And
is
again,
like
I'm assuming that
monster
obviously
fights.
because they want to finish this off a little bit instead of having it drag on
Yeah,
to like
well,
100 episodes. Yeah.
Mal has it listed as a 12-episode series.
12. Wow. You
So
think it's gonna have a decent conclusion in 12? Is my actual like I'm not trying to be like down or anything, but you think?
I mean, my honest opinion is it's getting a season 2, because
Mhm. Yeah, that's reasonable.
the way it's been going, I don't really see it concluding cleanly without them like rushing something
All right.
because we're like 5 episodes in now, I think, and
Yep.
it's kind of still doing like the standard monster
They're
of the
they're
week
probably they're
stuff.
probably gonna defeat the mid boss. That'll give them like a little bit more of an interest as to their past, and then like and it'll end with like the real boss looking over the city or something like that,
Well,
right?
see, the thing is about that is they reveal who the villain is in the first episode, right? Um, which isn't really very normal
Hmm.
uh for like an Ultra series kind of thing. Usually the villain gets revealed like at least like, you know, a third of the way into the series, right?
But is
Um,
it the true villain?
yeah, but
Who's to
that's
say?
the thing, right? So the standard trope for most tokusatsu stuff is you reveal the initial villain, right? And then you defeat the villain like halfway through or something, right? And then
Hmm.
after the villain gets defeated, he like says something about the true master plan, or you know the initial villain was just being used by a bigger villain,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's a very standard tokusatsu trope, and that's also a very standard Trigger trope.
Hmm.
Trigger likes to do that
Exactly.
a lot. They'll set up an initial antagonist. The initial antagonist either gets defeated or just says something that's like, I'm not even a bad guy. Everything I've been doing has been working up to fighting the real bad guy, and, you're going to help me, kind of stuff. Um, so the fact that uh, they've only shown one villain so far, which is the purple-haired girl, um, and she's like straight up evil. Like she like enjoys killing people, right?
Hmm.
So the question is she going to be the only villain? Which I really doubt, because it's not in Trigger's style to do that. Um,
Well, I mean, she's not, right? Because there's Alexis.
yeah, but Alexis seems to be like essentially her gridman, right?
I take it as like he's like the almost like burial, and she's the like sub boss, almost like the pawn that thinks that she's the essentially like the puppet master, but she's just a pawn to him to begin with.
Maybe, I don't
Feel
know,
like
because
she, and
like
I feel like the turnaround might be that like he betrays her essentially.
I don't know, because see, so the way it's set up, right, is the purple-haired girl talks to this guy called Alexis through her computer, right? Um, and apparently Alexis's power is to like materialize the model kaiju that she makes into real kaiju, and like she makes the model kaiju because like some guy at school pisses her off, and she's like, well, I'll just make this model kaiju, materialize it, and kill him, right?
Hmm.
And then because for some reason the city keeps resetting, nobody remembers it, so nobody like has any idea that she's the one who did it, or like that person even died in the first place, right? So it's like
Hmm.
scot free. Um, except for of course our three main characters. But the way that like I guess kind of the world is set up is um Alexis looks to me like he's the same kind of entity as Gridman. And Gridman in the series has said he can't materialize because he can't materialize in the real world because he's basically like raw energy, and he needs some sort of like host to like physically manifest.
Hmm.
And I assume Alexis is like the same thing, and he's gonna end up using the purple-haired girl to like manifest, and they're gonna have a big fight. But then the question is, what's after Alexis, right? What's after Alexis like uses the purple girl to manifest and Gridman and him fight, right? Like, is that just it?
Maybe. I mean, this is just like a small idea, but maybe uh, it could, instead of needing like a person, like part of it is just like he's gonna do some secret plan to be able to manifest like on his own. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was gonna say pure speculation, but like could be one of those
Like a
things where he
standard thing,
uses
right?
her to manifest
The
and then
bullshit.
throws her aside, essentially, like
Yeah.
casts her out.
I don't know. It's just the way the series is set up right now, and like the way it's pacing is. It seems like unless it does a season 2, which I kind of feel like it will do because it's like the most popular show uh, in terms of ratings in Japan, right? Um, but
Yeah, in terms of Twitter engagement, it's like
yeah.
huge. It is huge.
So I can see the series getting a second season, but the way the pacing is in the current season right now and how far along we are, like there's no time in my eyes to like set up another villain, right?
Right,
So
right.
the the only time the series has right now is to deal with uh the purple haired girl. I can never remember her fucking name. And
Akane.
Akane, yeah. Um
Mm-hmm.
and maybe like the loose string is just like Alexis, right? But I don't know. That feels kind of
Don't forget about Auntie, dude.
yeah, okay.
I wonder if Auntie's gonna become the anti-hero.
I wonder. Um but he's not even human, dude. Uh but yeah, I don't know. Just the way this series is set up right now, I feel like it's going to be very hard to either resolve this series or have it open enough to like do a second season, like like in a satisfactory manner.
Right, 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 right. Do you? So my, like, so I guess opening this up a little bit. Um, Again, this is another series that has gone through a little bit of a, I don't want to say a rough and tumble time necessarily, but some interesting reception in especially the Western community, right? Not necessarily just like a very sort of upside down, sideways in the blender kind of thing that Goblin Slayer went through, but
Is Gridman the savior of anime this season?
Actually, no,
No.
not according to the Western community, especially.
So there's been some reception. So obviously, just tell me if I'm wrong for these after I said them. But it's like some of the stuff I've heard is like um, the audio visuals are a little bit different from what was expected from the initial trailers.
This
And
is full
then
CG, isn't it? Or
No,
no, no, no.
just like the
It's not.
Gridman parts?
just some of the Gridman parts.
Yeah. And then another one is this thing where it's like people are getting angry that there's like focus on the girls, or like some people are saying like, oh, they just chucked in the girls for the fan service only, and that's completely just like out of whack with like what they should have done with just the Gridman or whatever. And then other people are like getting angry that people are focusing on the girls, or like or something like that.
What?
Like,
That's weird.
and then there's another part which I think is along the lines of what you mentioned to me before in Discord, where it's like people are just like, yeah, it's just whatever, it's just like the same stuff or something like that, right? So
It's so repetitive.
do you want to cover any of that, or maybe take them in order or something?
Elaborate this point. I
Um,
want to hear about this.
well, I mean, I can't speak for Dark, but personally, I haven't seen um I haven't seen very many people or any people at all really being like actually upset that the girls are in the series. Um, the only thing I've really seen that people are upset about in terms of the girls is when Trigger was like, "Hey, please stop drawing pornography."
Yeah, that's
Oh,
our
yeah, yeah,
job.
the
We gotta
Resident
sell the
thing is,
dockies, guys.
is
Come on.
yeah. So what happened? Let me elaborate. What Nier just said was that this thing is actually headed by both the Trigger and as well as the company that holds the production rights or the licensing rights to Ultraman, I believe. Right?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
it's
Ultraman.
it's an Ultra series thing. So
Yeah,
And they mentioned the Ultra series
Yeah.
enough
Yeah,
to where I
exactly,
feel
exactly.
like they would be sued if not.
So the agency is like Suburaya Agency or something like that. And they were probably the ones behind it, but essentially the people behind Gridman were just like, do not, don't spread Dojin works, don't sell, spread make dojo works and stuff like that of Gridman, and everybody was like, what the fuck?
I mean,
And then they like clarified later or something like that. They were like, don't make like NSFW like dojo works or something like that. And the
people
reason
are
why
still
was
gonna
like,
do it, but
yeah, the reason why the relatively obvious reason why was like then like they released this like Dakimakura of like the girls or something like that. I think like right after, right? Right
yeah,
after the
like
announcement.
immediately after they said that, they're like, by
Yeah.
the way, here's this Dakimakura.
Just don't make
Please buy it.
NSFW dojos, okay?
Stupid. But yeah.
Yeah.
What were the other two? I mean, what was the middle one rather?
The middle one was more or less just extending along the lines of the girls, where it's like people were like, "Oh, you guys are just or it's not so much like a criticism on like the girls being in the series, but it's like there was a thing where it's like, oh, the people that are like watching are only like focusing on the girls so much compared to like the real stuff or something that like that was one criticism I think
I mean,
that
to be honest, you could say that about any series with girls. So,
yeah
um, that's probably people that are either like pro clutching or they're just like some weird, like super diehard tokusatsu fan who's like
yeah
not used to,
not my tokusatsu.
who's not used to people like claiming waifus and stuff in their series.
Yeah, exactly,
Because
exactly.
Which is weird
that
considering
it
the state
does
of tokusatsu right now.
it does happen a lot in tokusatsu, but it's not as common because tokusatsu isn't anime, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
usually the entire crowd isn't like, oh my god, one girl waifu'd,
Yeah, exactly,
um,
exactly.
there's definitely tokusatsu fans that do that, um, but it's not as common. So
Yeah,
that's
true.
probably people who are in maybe a bit of a culture shock due to it being like an ultra series show that's like actually anime, so it's drawing in the anime people.
hmm
But I haven't seen too much of that. In
Okay.
terms of the complaint of it being like the same thing every episode,
Yeah, exactly. That's the
um,
major one that I think.
that's definitely like the biggest thing. I've seen people say that. Uh, in my opinion, anybody that's saying that has never watched a tokusatsu series or just doesn't like really get the entire like format of an
I mean,
ultra series.
from what you're telling me, it's actually better than regular tokusatsu, but it's like
Definitely, yeah. It's
because
more
of the
focused.
smaller
It's
episode.
more
Yeah, it's
focused on
on
the
background.
characters. It's more
Exactly,
focused
exactly.
on the
Like
story
what we were just
behind
talking about.
the
Yeah,
city.
yeah,
The
exactly,
interactions between the characters. Tokusatsu stuff, especially recent stuff, has been doing that a lot more. But
yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, again, because it's less like episodes to like, really drag on for
yeah.
a while.
But if you go back like 10 years, like majority of the episode was essentially just, how do I defeat this monster? And the characters were secondary, right? Like
Right, exactly.
the guy that has Ultraman in him, he's not really there because he's the main character. He's there because he has Ultraman in him, right?
hmm
His sidekick, is really only there to like keep a human character in the show, right?
hmm hmm
Um, so recent Tokusatsu stuff has been a lot better with that. But like the people that are complaining that it's like, oh, it's the same stuff every episode, they do some character stuff and then they just fight a monster and then the episode ends. It's like, well, that's what Ultraman was for the past
Yeah,
like
exactly,
40
exactly,
years, right?
exactly.
Um, so people saying that, I'm not going to say it's completely invalid because that is, it's fine to have that criticism of
In
the ultra
of the
series
genre,
in
yeah,
general.
of the sort of that sort of
But
culture, yeah.
if you're like going if you're going into Gridman and you're not expecting an ultra series,
Right.
especially
That's the package. That's the package.
especially if you're a Japanese fan, like you gotta be fucking crazy. Like
Yeah.
you know, like Ultraman is just so ingrained into Japanese culture that like if anybody was expecting this to not be like pure ultra, like a pure ultra series,
Mm-hmm.
they were either uneducated or they were just stupid.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
I
I
mean,
get
shit, I was afraid it wasn't going to end up as one. I was
yeah,
afraid they
I
were going to
was
make it not
I
one.
was I was pretty worried too because like you see Trigger slapped onto like an existing IP and you're like oh god, like what are they gonna do to it, right?
right.
But no, it's very faithful to Ultra series. It's very much a love letter. Um, they make a lot of callbacks. They make a lot of, they name drop the Ultra series like 5 times every episode, because the glasses character, like I wouldn't say he's an otaku, but like he's a fanboy, right? Um,
Right.
so
Is he an Otacon?
no,
Just like my Japanese tokusatsu maids.
but yeah, it's a pretty good show. Pretty good show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still kind of worried because, like I said, we're 5 episodes in, and there's not much of a hint of like progressing with like the actual main villain, um, which I think is a little worrisome, especially when it's a Trigger series, um, because you know how Trigger is with their pacing.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but other than that, I think we should probably talk about the audio visuals, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you wanted to comment on those first, Dark, because I think you're a little bit further than I am. But
Well, I'm just fully caught up with all 5 episodes.
yeah, I'm only like halfway through episode 5, so. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think some of them are like it's a little hit or miss sometimes, I think, with certain things in motion. Um, I think overall it's a really I personally think it's a really good looking show. Um, at first I was a little uneasy because the first like 2 episodes only have about like 2 to 3 minutes of fighting and most of it's like pretty okay CG. I'm like, all right, this looks pretty all right, but it's nothing crazy. But then once it starts to get more into the swing of things, I think there's some really nice blending during the fights. I think the motion itself of the CG is pretty good. Like, kind of captures, I feel like, the way Trigger has done a lot of like motion fighting. Uh, I think as far as the non-fights go, I think it personally looks pretty good. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. It's kind of standard in a way, save for like the major thing, which is some of the directing has some really nice shots in there.
yeah. So, I mean, pretty much what I wanted to say was, uh, in terms of directing, uh, the first episode especially has some really nice framing, some like really beautiful shots. Um, and after that, they kind of don't do it too often. There's a few city shots, like where they go along the horizon that are really nice looking.
Mm-hmm.
There's some few shots of like the sides of buildings, um, where like there's characters framed in between them that are really nice. But like the first episode really impressed me with some of the framing, and then after that, it didn't really do that much after that. Which was, I don't know, not really disappointing, but it kind of set my expectations, and I guess maybe I was a little let down. Um, in terms of the uh, non-Gridman stuff, I think this show is really nice looking. Um, but it's kind of weird because the colors are really, really bright in this show, and it kind of makes me think of like, well, a kids show, right? Which I guess is to be expected, right? It's an Ultra series, um, and you see, in a lot of kids anime, the main character has really bright red hair, and they have really bright eyes, and there's flashing colors going on in the background of like promo shots, which Gridman's got stuff like that. Um,
Right.
but like the one thing that really took me or the one thing I really noticed, in terms of how good this show looks, is the eyes. The eyes are really nice in this show.
Uh,
They have this they have like this two-tone spiral thing going on, where like the outside of the eye is one color, and then they
mhm.
have kind of a spiral pattern, um, and then like the inside of the spiral pattern going into the pupil is like a different color. It's not necessarily like a contrasting color, but it's like a slightly different color, right? And they're really
Right,
nice
right.
looking. Um, the uh, the animation's pretty nice. You know, it's pretty much just people stuff. They're not exactly doing action stuff with just the people, except for like Samurai Caliber, who's done some stuff, but
Mhm.
not too much to talk about there. In terms of the uh, actual Gridman stuff, so Gridman's movements and fights are largely CG, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the initial talking points Trigger had about the show is they're doing this because they want to show off, uh, like they kind of want to flex their muscles with like just showing people that they can do like good CG.
Right,
Um,
right. And stick
and
with consistency. Yeah.
yeah, and it is it's not bad CG, but it's not really something that I would think is worthy of bragging over, right? Like
Yeah,
as a
people,
studio.
you would be like, wow, Trigger should put this on their resume.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does its job. The motion is very fluid, right?
Hmm.
Like there are scenes where, Gridman transforms and he comes out of the sky and like he's sliding on the ground and he's moving his arms and there's weight to it, right?
Hmm.
There's fluid motion to it. It looks smooth. It looks good, right? The
Hmm.
model itself is like gorgeous. Um,
Right, right.
but when it comes to impact, in my opinion, is where they're lacking. Um,
What do you mean by that?
so what's what's the best way? What's the most iconic way in your eyes that Trigger does an impact or of like a hit or like a slam, right?
Right, so
They
it's
they
usually
warp
something like repeated like different camera perspectives into like
or
the
they do
right,
stuff like that, or they'll warp whatever's being hit,
right,
right?
exactly.
And they don't do that in the CG because that's a lot of work,
Hmm.
right? Um,
Okay.
so like there will be scenes where Gridman, like he slams some dude to the ground, he fucking suplexes some guy, right?
Right.
And the screen shakes, the sound's there, you know, it sounds like a hefty hit. There's buildings exploding, but at the end of the day, they're just models, right?
Right.
And
Right.
in
Right.
my eyes, it lacks that like classic Trigger like impact.
It's kind of like it's how it's like in some like RPGs or like action games and stuff like that. Like there are these parts in games where it's like you take either like a machine gun stand or like you take control of a cannon or a trebuchet or something like that, right? And it's like you're kind of lobbing shit into a crowd or like you're shooting down different people at different
Yeah.
points, stuff like that, right? It kind of feels like that because I like skimmed through a little bit of it, but is it kind of like that in a
Uh,
sense? Kind of like, yeah, I mean, like things are blowing up,
yeah,
but you're
like
not. Yeah,
yeah, things are like blowing up, but it's not like I don't know. It feels like they're blowing up because it's animated to blow up.
right,
It's not like
right.
because a big thing with Ultraman stuff is like the destruction of the sets, right? Because
Hmm.
big kaiju battles, they have the fucking like the cardboard buildings and shit, and they got the little pyrotechnics in them, and they blow up whenever they even like nudge them a little bit.
Right,
Um,
right,
and Gridman, it does the shots right of like buildings falling over and shit's exploding and people are running around, but I don't know, just there's something key that's like missing, and I don't know
right.
if it's necessarily because of the CG. I'm not gonna say that because the CG, like I said, the CG looks good, right?
Right.
It's fluid. Uh, like everything's there, right? But there's just something that's like I don't know. It lacks.
It lacks the impact.
It lacks impact that I expect from Trigger, right?
Right.
Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but other than that, the show looks good. It's animated well. It has a lot of very fluid motion.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Pretty smooth. Yeah.
the only thing I'll say in terms of visuals, which is a very, very personal thing, is, and it's something I've kind of had a gripe with um, not necessarily recent tokusatsu stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
this reminds me of like early mid 2000s Ultraman stuff, where the
Okay.
designs feel um, a little too busy. Like there's a lot of stuff on Gridman himself, and like
Just like yeah.
the kaiju's have a lot of like really bright colors and a lot of weird stuff coming out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it feels like that early mid 2000s Ultraman series stuff where like they were trying to make Ultraman like quote unquote modern and cool looking, and so they strapped like weird
They have like
like
weird gadgets, like
yeah, they
dark,
had like
like
weird
apparatus.
geometrical shapes on his
Yeah.
shoulders, and like his chest diamond was like a weird shape, and
Yeah.
he
It's
had
like
like
it's
spikes
like
on his
modern
arms or
architecture
something.
ideas, but not really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a like Gridman doesn't look bad. Um, it's an interesting design, but there's just something about it that really reminds me of that era of Ultraman, and I
Right.
don't know, it's very busy. But that's a minor personal thing.
Right. Okay. That's definitely like well, I mean, the impact thing I noticed a little bit more, but yeah, now if you think back about it, it is a little bit busy in terms of how the designs are, or rather, again, there's like a lot of trinkets in a sense there that I'm just like, oh, okay,
Yeah, there's a
well,
lot of there's a lot of grooves and lines on Ultraman's design that's like maybe you could have cut down on a couple spikes here and there. But
hmm
it's just a personal thing in my opinion. So
yeah,
if you like
okay,
Gridman's design, more power to you, right? He's got a lot of cool bits and bobbles that he attaches to him. So
okay. So I guess again, thanks for help heading up the government talk. Do you or Dark, do you guys have any last words about the series? I guess, or the reception, whatever you kind of want to finish up on.
I don't know. You want to go first, Dark?
Um, I mean, God, I hope it stays consistent, you know. I because we're only 5 episodes in, and it's like as much as I'm like, oh yeah, like this is a pretty standard Ultra series now. Like I can get behind this. There's that part of me that's like, yeah, but like, what if episode 10 and they're like, by the way, this was all in the Matrix. Now we're out of the Matrix. What do we do now that we're out of the Matrix? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really.
I'm afraid.
I didn't really want to touch on stuff like that because I don't know.
I mean, it's pure speculation. Like, there's
Yeah,
going to be a part of me that's just purely afraid of that
it
still
is.
until the end.
So a lot of people have been theorizing that Gridman is in like this weird cyberspace thing, like it's in a computer simulation, and that's why people's memories are getting wiped. Because the original Gridman was in like he fought the monsters like in the computer world, right? So people have been theorizing that, and it's like when are they going to pull it out, if at all? Um,
Mm.
but it's pure speculation. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would say the only other thing is that I get what they're doing, but until I see the payoff for like the characters getting killed and stuff and people forgetting, until I see like the ultimate payoff, I guess I'm still gonna be kind of on the fence with it, just
Mhm.
because it's like to me you can't it's in a weird spot where like I think episode 4 or something, these 3 people who even the main characters don't even know or give a shit about get killed, and like they get brushed under the rug real fast. Like they don't give a
Yeah.
fuck anymore. No one cares. I'm like, well, this is gonna get really weird if we start killing more and more people, and like no one gives a fuck anymore. And it's like, well, you're killing a lot of people, and in an Ultra series, to me, it's like this is a bit too many people to be killed right now, and to be shown to us to be killed. Like
Exactly.
shit is getting questioned a little bit, but not enough to me personally. Like, you know, if we're gonna bring in the idea of like, you know, these people got killed by the kaiju, and it's like, well, technically, isn't Gridman just killing a massive amount of people the moment he punches through a building, hits into a
Right.
building? It's like, well, we're not questioning that, so it's a little strange as to where that's going. So I am curious. I think my other thing that worries me is what they're doing with Akane, because like you said, Nier, like she's just evil, like she's a sociopath. Someone bumps into her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a kaiju to kill this person because they didn't say
I
sorry."
mean, she's just straight up crazy.
So she can't get flipped around, and I'm afraid that they're gonna try to.
Well, that's the classic Trigger thing, right? Is like,
It's also a tokusatsu thing,
yeah,
so it's like,
that's what worries me. It's a tokusatsu trope. It's a Trigger trope of like turning the villain into some sort of good guy, or like the villain's not the real villain kind of thing, right? But like, there's no redeeming this character. Like, she's evil. She kills people, and she laughs about it. Like, she's not she's not a good person, right? So,
yeah.
Maybe,
And it's like and there's not many things they could even do to rectify that. Like they even if the Matrix theory was to come true, it's like, well, she's still actively trying to kill people in this simulation. So
right.
even if, you know, there was some weird thing where whatever the setup may be, pulling these characters out of that doesn't change her or her actions.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah. Anyway.
my I don't know. My final thoughts are kind of just uh, it's a good show so far. I really like how much of uh a love letter it feels like, right? Just to the Ultra
Exactly.
series, and just tokusatsu culture in general, right? There's a lot of references. Um, one that got me uh, kind of to shout out my screen a little bit was when like the other like these like dudes in tuxedos come in and they're like, "We're the Neon Genesis Middle School Club," and I was like, "Screw off, dude! Like, just you're really just gonna drop that like straight faced? Like, come on." There's other stuff like every time Gridman gets his big sword, his great sword. He does the classical Bari pose. Like every single time.
Right.
He's, classic stuff like that, and it's just a lot of fun little stuff. It really just feels like Trigger's having fun with it, which is what Trigger's good at, right? So
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly what they should aim for a lot more of the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think standard and fun is probably the formula for success at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Don't try anything too far out.
Yeah. Instead of coin flipping every
Yeah.
time.
if you like Tokusatsu, if you like Ultraman, absolutely watch Gridman because it's a love letter to both. It's very faithful, and it's fun. It's got fun characters. It's got fun fights.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
All right. Stuff again. Thank you so much, Nier and Dark, for helping us cover Gridman. I know it's a
You know what it reminds me of? Gotcha Man crowds.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. You seen them henshins? Pretty good.
Yeah, but Gatchaman Crowds wasn't pretty good, so at least
I don't know about those henshins.
season 2 was atrocious.
Anyways, we should finally move on. Again, we've covered pretty much all the series that we wanted to cover for today. We should finally move on to the news. A lot of company news these past 2 weeks, so we'll get onto that, and quite a decent amount of people-related news too. So, kind of blaze through that hopefully. Anyways, the first piece of news, getting right into it. Advertising company Dentsu announced on Monday that it has formed a new cross-group organization Dentsu Japanimation Studio, or DJS, which will cooperate with and coordinate with 9 animation studios with the objective of increasing the appeal of goods and services with the original video content. So it's both animation, like a promotional studio, or I guess animation-focused advertising branch of Dentsu. The new group will coordinate with Sunrise, Bandai Namco Pictures, Production IG, Mappa Piero, Studio Colorado, David Production, Light and Films, and the Answer Studio Company Limited. So essentially, they're taking some animators and mixing them with advertising people and selling that as like a niche for other studios to subcontract to, essentially, is what I'm seeing for their anime. So hopefully that works out for them. Next piece of news, kind of interesting. So the official website for Project Anima announced on Wednesday that Yusuke. So what happened was that there was this Project Anima, and there was another world or like fantasy anime category that was out for competition, and people had to make like a small like summary and like storyboard, I believe, for the anime on like how it would go out, like brief storyboard. So what was it? It's like there was this another world thing. There was like other stuff like kits and like game category and stuff like that, and general like story submissions. It's a collaborate. It was apparently Project Anima itself was a collaboration between companies to make 3 television anime in different genres for the 2020 broadcast season. So you can do novels, scripts, manga drafts, stuff like that, and it'll essentially get made into anime. So yeah, this one was a winner again for the Another World / Fantasy anime category. So the winner was Akasaka Yuzuki's Mahotsukai ni nakare nakata onna no ko no hanashi. So the story of the girl who couldn't become a wizard. So it's the grand prize winner for that category. And JC Staff will produce an anime adaptation of the work that is slated for our 2021 debut, which is pretty big. So blah, blah. The description is that it seems like a shoujo series, right? I think it is also made by a female author.
Is this the new Kiwani Awards?
Is
this the
it
only
related?
thing?
Nobody
Is
wins.
this the
Nobody
only
wins
thing that's
anything.
gonna win an award?
It's like you do not get an anime. But yeah, it's essentially it's about like School of Wizards or something like that. Although like the main character, apparently the main heroine, apparently has a high intellect, but unfortunately it does not get in. And then I guess there are teachers or there are like other like fellow wizards and stuff like that. Fellow wizards, fellow student wizards, fellow teachers, I would guess, that are boys that she probably takes later interest in while learning in the wizarding world. So, in addition to the anime adaptation, Akasaka, the manga artist, or the mangaka / author, will receive a monetary prize of 1 million yen, or about US $8,900, at an award ceremony that will be held at a stage outside of Tokyo Tower on November 3rd. So, congratulations to her. There are some, again, as I said before, there's some other categories. By the way, the judges themselves were editors and producers from various, like, mobile game related companies, advertising companies, and some directors and stuff like that. So, those people. There are some, again, other categories such as science fiction / robot category that where Nekotaro Inui's Sakugan Labyrinth Marker won in August, to be exact. And there was another one that is for kids / game category, which is accepting submissions until November 15th. So yeah, they're pretty interesting, I would say. Next piece of news. This is actually like pretty huge for the Western community. Like one of the bigger stories I've heard in quite a while. So publisher Soul Press announced on Kumoricon on Saturday and it plans to launch a new light novel, manga, and visual novel digital distribution platform titled Project Kyorin. The platform has been planning and production for about 6 months and it will launch in about 2 weeks. At launch, the platform will have Soul Press's own titles, but the staff plan to allow anyone to distribute over the platform. The staff described the platform as similar to Steam in terms of what it will accept in terms of content rating. And then obviously Valve announced recently that Steam pretty much allows whatever. However, Hyorin will focus on anime-style content. The platform will also be similar to Steam in that it will allow users to purchase and collect a library of titles. The platform will also offer merchandise for sale. So, but other stuff like that, mobile capability, and
So you just buy the light novels, right? It's not a subscription.
yeah, that's what it seems like. And it's on the library. I'm not sure how permanent it will be. Obviously, again, because it is still a digital format. But you
Well,
seem like
I'd imagine they would just give you like a PDF or something, right? Something weird.
yeah. Hopefully that's how it goes up. Again, I'm not sure. It's like they might clamp down on that specifically, just because.
Yeah, because the issue with that is if you just buy it and they give you like a download, then who's to stop people from just uploading them, right?
What they could do is, I feel like what could happen is like they could give you a specific, like, you know how it's like Adobe has like a specific format that's like all not like PDF but one of the other ones that's like a specific reader and stuff like that, and it's like all password protected and shit.
Yeah, they
It's
probably
like
have to. I mean, there has to be some sort of DRM to it, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah. So
otherwise it's
it'll
just
be interesting how this pans out. But what's also important is that again, this obviously they've seen how Steam planned out and how people are, especially over in Japan, and people are kind of panning out, being like, yeah, we might as just well put it on Steam or something like that, right? And especially with the recent like censor news with the
yeah,
visual novels, right? And Denpasoft itself is also expanding at quite a rapid pace, not only just because of Sekai Project, but because in general, people are kind of wising up to the fact that the Western audience is pretty warm to this stuff, and Denpasoft is one of the more, by now, older platforms, right, for
yeah.
this sort of stuff. So Soul Press kind of getting a move on it. It's very, very, very interesting. So we'll see how this goes. But again, having more competition, having more platform distribution is always pretty decent. As long as we say, it's not the DRM isn't fucking us in the ass, and it's actual, like, you can actually buy the stuff. Along with this, they actually announced the Soul Press announced several new light novel and visual novel licenses at its Kumoricon on Saturday. A whole bunch of stuff that I've seen myself, and some other new stuff. The usual, like a lot of them usually like the East Guys stuff. Why shouldn't a detestable demon lord fall in love? This one's pretty slow pace, if I remember correctly. Redefining the meta of VR MMO Academy. What
Is
else?
that the one with like the battle priest?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff here. There's Strongest Gamer, Let's Play in Another World, Battle Dios, The Unshakable Winter Blossom Princess, light novel stuff. Visual novels here, there's a lot of stuff. Iro Toridori no Sekai, or multi colored sky, kind of whatever, but obviously it's another story. Under One Wing, or also known in Japanese as Hitotsu Yane no Tsubasa no Shitade. I think that one's pretty interesting. There's one that's Mirai Radio to Chinko Hato, or The Future Radio and the Artificial Pigeons. There's a Newton and the App, made by the same people who did Newton and the Apple Tree. Love Among the Sunflowers. I forgot what the name here is. My Fair Princess, Choose Your Mistress, and Nukitashi, or I believe what is it? It's the Japanese title is like Nukige mitai na shima ni sunderu kyonyu wa dousuriya ii desu ka? I think
The only thing I paid attention to is Nukige and Kyonyu. That's up my alley.
oh my god, shut the fuck up, Toast.
What's it translated to?
It's essentially I ended up living on an island that's essentially themed like a Nukige, but And then like the second line is like, what do you also think about big tits or something? It's like it's a really
I think they're great.
Good to know.
The thing is, I actually saw so what they did was Krupa, who is the studio behind this, actually did like a promotion for this for like 2 weeks leading up to the release of the visual novel in Japan. And it's like they did like went all out. They did like all these YouTube trailers. Like some of them were like virtual YouTuber kind of like formatted, like pretend virtual YouTuber formatted and stuff like that, right? And they had like all the voice actors come out and do that. And I saw some of the dialogue for the visual novels and their promotions, and it was pretty snappy, and I liked it quite a bit. So I might actually check this one out, even though it is probably going to end up more of a Yukie. But I really like the dialogue. And then there's the last one, which is
Are you sure you only like the dialogue?
yes, just the dialogue. That's very special to me. And the last one is Oin-san Kiss no Junbi wa Mada desu ka? I believe that is the last visual novel that is being launched by Soul Press or announced. So these will probably come over in the next year or so, 2019. But definitely looking forward to it. Again, a lot of these the raws are already out in Japan. But the good thing is, it's like what Soul Press is doing is they're taking the lead on a lot of modern and or recent visual novels that is like from the last couple of years, instead of doing the standard thing some people have been doing, where it's like, yeah, we're
Translating
gonna
10-year-old shit.
yeah, exactly, like we're gonna reboot stuff for 2004, and it's like, well,
I'd
I
rather
mean, like, I
you didn't.
kind of get it. It's like, but yeah, again, good luck to Soul Press. Again, always more competition is always better. So, looking forward to this. Next piece of news: another company kind of going down here. Credit research company Tokyo Shoko Research, or TSR, reported on Wednesday that animation studio Drop received approval to start bankruptcy proceedings on October 26th. The company filed for bankruptcy on August 24th. Tokyo lawyer Fumihide Katayama is handling the bankruptcy for the studio. So they did a whole bunch of stuff. They worked on Golgo 13 No To Your Other Self, Tetsuko no Tabi, and Zoid's Wild. Also handling the main animation for the Uchiure anime series. So, unfortunate.
Didn't they also do Cleon, dude?
Yes, they also recently did Cleo no Akari.
Takayaki brothers are gone.
Takoyaki.
Rest in peace.
Since after that, since then, sales have decreased, labor and management costs, creative pressure, and profits have been sluggish.
Takoyaki brothers killed him, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is happening to small studios, although we have had more notable names before, right? But what I'm afraid of is that, I mean, we're just talking about smaller studios here, but I feel like due to the use of animation costs and like how people have to draw more and stuff like that, I think there will be this sort of like bubble or crash rather, where it's like a lot of more famous studios are going to have to do something very, very drastic, or just declare bankruptcy outright, and it's going to be very messy, I think.
Well,
I think
I mean, they're probably already in the process of downsizing, right? We're just not hearing about it.
that, or kind of uh, merging or going into some sort of umbrella company in order to kind of make funding a little bit more flexible, right? So
Yeah.
that the studio can stay in the red while the overall company, the overall idea, like the branches, can kind of stay stable, right?
Yeah, I think we're gonna hear about a lot more collaborations soon.
Yeah. Again, like IG Port right now, it's like their studios a lot of times like end up in the red and shit like that. But because of the licensing stuff, because of how the overall company kind of functions, it kind of ends up being all right in a sense. So
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to try to do. But I feel like the studios that don't manage to end up doing that, even the more significant notable ones, I feel like they're headed for an iceberg. And I'm kind of, I don't obviously, bankruptcy and people kind of being out of jobs and stuff is bad, but I feel like in one sense, it'll be very interesting to see what new sort of model people will come out with, if any. And second of all, I do think it is sort of necessary to wake people up to be like, like something has to be done. Either there has to be a better money flow system, or something. There just has to be a change, because it's even now it's not like animators are getting paid that much. So you have to see.
Because you're
So
not buying the $60 BDs, dude,
yeah, dude.
with 2 episodes on them.
Cool, man.
Yes, Spire, why aren't you supporting the anime industry?
Yeah, they're also including all sorts of omake, dude. Just like they have the mecha
Yeah.
dakimakuras now.
Don't you want a Gridman cup holder?
Don't you want a Gridman for your PC?
Yeah.
Don't you want a
The Gridman
Gridman phone
OS?
stand that can't hold anything?
Yeah. But yeah, so again, unfortunate, but best of luck to the bankruptcy proceedings. Next piece, and this is the final non-person piece of news, is that the official website for Shueisha's, this is actually pretty surprising, the official website for Shueisha's Grand Jump magazine is listing the Grand Jump Mecha.
What the heck's Grand Jump? Is it like Grand Caster or Grand Saver? Or
I
Grand
don't
Assassin?
know. Grand Jump Mecha Special Edition magazine with third issue slated for November 28th, and Shueisha will continue to publish a new issue in odd number of months. Shueisha will also launch a new magazine titled Grand Jump Mucha on December 26th, and will continue to publish a new issue in even number of months. Grand Jump Premium is being rebranded as Grand Jump Mucha, so Shueisha will no longer publish the Grand Jump Premium magazine. Blah blah. I don't know what these are really, but what's interesting to me is that I think most of these are rebranding. Yeah, I think these are essentially just rebrandings. I don't think they're actually like new series or anything like that. But they're obviously like splitting the themes, right, or something like that. But what's kind of weird to me is really that Shueisha is kind of trying to keep this up at all, right? It's like, I guess they're sort of rebranding and trying to split into niches, depending on, odd even months, trying to create more specific like content, right? But I don't know. I feel like even these are just kind of fold pretty soon. I don't necessarily see a big point in either of these. But we'll see how it goes. Again, good luck to the magazines if they do manage to stay up.
You know how they get this? You know how Shonen Jump stays up?
By being shown in Jump.
Yeah,
If you
by
if
being
you
the
if you
most
have the
popular manga
if you have the
magazine.
Shonen Jump subscription, they give you free Yu-Gi-Oh cards every month. You know?
I don't think that's why they
yeah,
stay
that's
up.
I don't know, man.
Soul
Summon
Rising.
Sorceress was like what 70? It was like $70, and Apprentice Illusion Magician, that's also been $70 until it was reprinted. I don't know, man.
I'm somewhat slightly doubtful
It's
of
don't
It's
that.
called supply and demand.
Okay, but
You
Shonen
pay-
Jump is not
you-
giving
you-
that $70.
You pay $5 for the thing, then you get like a $70 Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Cut. But yeah, so unfortunate, but or not unfortunate, but we'll see how this all pans out. And now we move on to the people news. Again, we're going to be kind of blowing through this a little bit faster. So first off, animation director and character designer Keiichiro Kimura passed away on Friday due to a heart attack at the age of 80. Joined Toei Animation in 1961 and worked as animation director and stuff such as Cyberpunk 009 and Tiger Mask. He worked on key animator and stuff like Speed Racer, Lupin III, and Casshern Sin. Please wish condolences to his friends and family. Another passing. Voice actor Koji Tsuchitani passed away in Tokyo on October 17th due to a stroke at the age of 56. So he was he was also a band member slash singer. He played Bernard Wiseman in Mobile Suit Gundam 0080. In the Gundam franchise, his other roles include Seabook Arno, and Gundam F91, Bernie Wiseman, and Knight Zeta, and Mobile Suit SD Gundam. Tsuchitani also voiced characters such as Miroko Inuyasha, Tyler in The Irresponsible Captain Tyler, Hazumo Iwasaki in Stratus 4, and Ano Itsuki in Yu Yu Hakusho and Solomon in Blood Plus. So, again, condolences to his friends and family. The Los Angeles Film Critics Association, or LAFCA, announced on Tuesday that it will grant a Career Achievement Award to anime director Hayao Miyazaki. The organization's annual awards dinner will take place at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, California on January 12th. The president, Claudia Puig, explained The way Miyazaki inspires an audience's sense of wonder is unmatched. I particularly admire his depiction of self-sufficient, determined, and courageous female characters who don't need saving. He has explained his cinematic approach simply. Any woman is just as capable of being a hero as any man. These words resonate more powerfully than ever in our current times. So congratulations to his award.
Like how in every movie he has, the female lead gets saved by the male.
Like, who said that female leads aren't as good as male leads? That's
Nobody?
have you guys seen Sailor Moon?
Yeah, well, I think there's part of it's wrong, but there are other arguments.
So are you saying that Japan has been more progressive than the U.S. since they've had lots of magical girls and heroines?
I wouldn't say that, but we move on.
So are you saying that women aren't as good as men in your anime manga Aspire?
They can
That's
space
effective.
fish.
Space fish.
Yeah, but they can only just space fish now.
Jesus. Okay, so next piece of news. Gifu Prefecture Police arrested and charged 7 individuals in October 1st in connection to the sale of an unauthorized quote-unquote cheating app or using a proxy service for the Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle smartphone game. The app can allegedly be used to acquire purchasable in-game features for free. At least one person arrested is a male high school student, although the Asahi Shimbun newspaper reported 3 other men arrested are 44, 41, and 27 years old. So, again.
Arrested?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it was linked to in-game purchases.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's illegal money, man.
But, like, I don't know. I don't know. That seems like more like a
That's
fine,
RMT.
you know,
Dude.
not fucking arresting them. I don't
Yeah,
know.
unfortunately.
Maybe it was like a lots of yens.
The Association of Copyright for Computer Software, or ACCS, announced on September 25th that the Gifu Prefecture Police's Cybercrime Division arrested and charged a man on September 19th for allegedly using the file-sharing software Perfect Dark to illegally upload and distribute manga. According to authorities, the suspect is a 54-year-old unemployed male from Kyoto, and he'd been distributing a color version of volume 79 and 80 of Eiichiro Oda's One Piece manga since at least January 31st. The suspect admitted in his affidavit that he uploaded the manga because he quote-unquote wanted other people to know about it. Many arrests for similar copyright violations using share and other file-sharing software have been made in Japan in recent years. However, Perfect Dark has more robust anonymity features compared to earlier programs, and arrests of people allegedly using the software have been somewhat less common. So, pretty interesting how people, I mean, it's only getting, I mean, Japan already made it pretty hard for themselves on how they're approaching this to really cover how piracy works and is motivated. But these, additional sort of anonymity softwares are really making it even more of a headache. So we'll see how this rabbit hole goes.
Pirates will always find a way. Like,
yeah, I mean, the issue that I mainly see is that Japan is already approaching this from a very sort of
the problem is their entire idea is to just be like, okay, well, we'll just track them down and arrest them.
We'll just need to whack all the walls.
Like, no. That's not how it works. That's not even why they're pirating in the first place. Like,
especially if they're like over in China or something, then it becomes obviously.
Yeah, it's like, well,
yeah,
you're just wasting resources at that point.
Yeah. Next piece of news: Take Shobo's webcomic Gamma website announced on Thursday that manga creator Ugepa, or UGE, passed away on October 23rd due to acute heart failure at the age of 44. A wake and funeral was held for close family members. So he is mostly known for being part or writing and drawing the Hounds Tokushusei Hanzai Shita Sousabu manga, which is the adaptation of Maki Natsumi's original novel of the same name. So again, condolences. Or he also did some other like spin-off of like various other franchises. So condolences to his friends and family. More passing away. More passings. Actress Kyoko Enami's agency announced on Friday that she passed away on October 27th due to pulmonary emphysema, at the age of 76. So she was recording an NHK radio drama on the 22nd, but complained of poor health on October 26th, at which time she was checked into the hospital. And then she passed away at 9:06 p.m. on October 27th.
Pulmonary what?
Pulmonary emphysema.
Emphysema? Alright. What the? Ah!
She made her film debut in 1960, was known for a role in the Onna Tobakushi film series. She won Kinema Junpo's Best Leading Actress Award in 1963. She also had a role in the live-action television adaptations of Kojiko Morimoto's Goksen manga, starting with the third season. Please wish condolences to her friends and family. Last but not least, singer Hikaru Masai announced that on the official website of the three-member female singing unit Calafina on Friday that her contract with talent agency Spacecraft Produce ended without trouble on October 20th, and that she has left the agency. The announcement does not specify if she is leaving Calafina. So she was part of, again, the singer group in Calafina, and this is, again, part of the continuing sort of fallout of the Calafina units, so, and like the spread out of the Calafina units. So again, please wish her the best of luck in her future endeavors. And with that, we are finally on to our last section, which is the shoutouts and callouts. And here, everybody gets one shoutout and one callout. And a shoutout may be anything that you want to talk about. 10 out of 10, praise to the skies, any one thing, place, or person. So, for callout, obviously, is the exact opposite. One thing you want to insult, talk down to, flame, rant about, and it can be any people, place, or thing. So we will start with Nier. Shoutouts and callouts, please.
Shit. Man, I should have wrote it down. I had a really good call out like 2 days ago, and I don't remember it anymore. But
Was it about entitled gamers?
no, it wasn't actually. That was my backup, which I'm gonna do. So I got into a bit of a spat, I guess, in another Discord with
Yes.
a certain individual who I was kind of just having a conversation with like somebody else about like just the idea of like video game season passes and how they're very anti-consumer.
Yes.
Because I mean they are, right? Like it's really a no-brainer, especially which is what I was saying is especially fighting game season passes, where pretty much the entire idea behind a fighting game season pass is you will buy the season pass, but you don't know, like,
You pray to God the characters aren't garbage.
yeah, you really don't know any of the characters that are going to be in the season pass. You don't know, like, their names. You don't know their moves. You don't know anything. Like you're blind. You're making a blind purchase when you buy a fighting game season pass. And
Right.
I had said that's very anti-consumer. It's a very bad practice to have consumers buy into that, and it's not really the best in the best interest for the consumer to like support that practice. But we do it anyway because we want the content in the game. And somebody interjected in the conversation and said, "Well, you don't need the DLC, so don't buy it." And my initial response was, "Well, yeah, but you don't need the game, so you don't need to buy it either. So what are you arguing for?" And
if it's for a fighting game, you really do need it, though, right?
you
Yeah,
do. If you're
especially
going to take
for
the game seriously in any manner, you
or
need...
even if you want to play with a decent amount of cash, or
just have all the options available to you, like in terms of playstyles and characters. Like you need all those characters, and if you're playing the game seriously, you desperately need all those characters because you need to learn like tech and like maybe character specific combos and stuff. But like my point was like like what are you arguing for when you say you don't need something, so don't buy it? Like there's no argument there. And the whole conversation devolved into this like completely retarded argument of like if you buy a video game developer's product, you're somehow like saying to that company that you trust them and that like you can't you essentially cannot buy a product without somehow committing in the form of money a message of trust or some sort of brand loyalty.
Yeah, I mean the major problem with that was that like how do I say this? It's like if you're saying trust, right? Like the way that trust often works and or should work is that it relies on a priori stuff, right? It's like um where it's like you are predicting that something will probably be good if
Well,
if you have some like expectations beforehand of what was for it. But then with a
but that's
lot
not trust. That's just expectations of a company
what it's
based
saying
on
is the expectations is colored by the trust you have in certain things in the company. However, the issue with stuff like DLC or like season passes is that you're immediately having to commit on that trust without really knowing and experiencing the actual thing, right? So that's the issue.
Well, my entire argument was the idea for a consumer to have just the general concept of trust in a corporate body that does not have your best interests in heart in the first place is ridiculous, right? Especially when your trust, quote unquote, manifests physically in the form of monetary gain for that company. Like there's no benefit to you, the consumer, to having faith or trust or the expectation of goodwill from that
Right, yeah,
company,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Because that company doesn't fucking care about you. They care about your money. So, like, my entire argument was like, you don't like I said it in the argument too. Like, you don't go to the store, see the big rack of bread, see one brand of bread, and say, I trust that brand, and buy it blindly. Like, people don't do that. They squeeze the loaves to see which one's good
Mhm.
because you got to judge for yourself, right? It's not there's no trust being like demonstrated there, right?
Yeah.
So my point was the end, like the when it comes to the end of the at the end of the day, it's all about the product, right? So like
Right,
if the
right, right,
game is bad, it's just bad. You don't buy it. Like
right, right.
that doesn't betray your trust in a company because you shouldn't trust a company to create a product that is for you because
Yeah, at
it's
the
just a
end of the day, you need
product.
to value the product. Yeah.
It's like the entire worth of the product is entirely subjective, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of trusting in a corporate body to deliver a product for you is ridiculous because
Right, right.
the corporate body doesn't care about you. They don't care about how you feel. They just care if you're going to pay for it or not.
Mhm.
I
So,
mean, if especially when it comes to fighting game season passes, if they did, they would tell you which characters are in it
yeah,
from the get go.
if
They
they had
wouldn't leave it up to a mystery. So
if the
maybe if you
companies
don't
had
like 4 out of 5 characters, you'll still buy it.
yeah,
Mhm.
if the companies had good faith, you'd know beforehand what's in what you're buying. Um, but they don't. So, like, I don't know, the idea of just consumers trusting a company is ridiculous to me. And this guy was like full blown, like, you know, I trust like Kojima to make a good game. I trust Nintendo to like deliver uh the best thing that they possibly can for all the people that play their games. And it's like, well, no, you can't do that because that's just
Well,
ridiculous.
it's like you can let trust color your expectations, but you can't let it control the actual product, like the value of the actual product for you when it's out. Like if the product actually comes out, like let's say tomorrow, you can't still sit there and say, oh well, I still will buy it because Nintendo. You know what I mean?
I don't know,
Yeah, I
man.
mean, you
I
can't
don't know,
just
man. I've seen Fate Last Encore, I still trust Kanoku Nasu after that.
Well,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
that's different because it's like written media, right? It's different. Video games are like, I don't know, they're different and they're the same, but like it's just you can't trust a corporate body to like just deliver something blindly. Like you can't sit there and eat shit because the company's shitting it into your mouth and you're like, "Yeah, I trust you." Like you just can't do that. Like you have to
Right.
judge everything individually. But there's people out there that are just like, "Yeah, it's Nintendo making it, so it's good. I'll buy the season pass. I'll buy all the
I don't know, man.
DLC regardless of anything." It's like, "Well,
I don't know, man.
you're
I'll
just
try.
a
I
fucking
won't trust Konami with anything, but I'll trust Kojima for the next not Metal Gear game. That's kind of how
But
that
that's not
works.
trust. It's an expectation. Like you're
you bought
expecting.
you bought
It,
Survive though, Toast."
I did.
the
What
thing
about
is,
it?
it's like if the product actually comes out and
So
it's
my
bad,
my
don't
point
sit.
my point of you buying Survive though is your
I didn't
your
buy it because
opinion.
I didn't buy it because it was a non-Kojima game. I bought it because Metal Gear. It's
Exactly.
all
Your
right.
opinion on Konami was irrelevant in you buying that product. You bought it because it was a product you wanted.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like your opinion on who makes the product should not matter because the
Right,
product
right,
is the only thing that matters. The
right,
thing that
right.
you are buying is all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, just the idea of trusting corporate bodies is so gross to me. But
So trust the
That's it.
developer, not the company. Or
No, don't even trust the
well, you
developer.
can't
I don't know, man.
the
Gauge
developer
based on the product you're given.
the developer works for the corporate body. So, like, you can't put trust in a faceless entity, right? You can, I mean, at best you can maybe put trust in the director, but like he's just the director. He's not coding, he's not modeling, he's not animating. He's just like telling people what to do at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the best thing you brought up was probably the Warframe devs and how transparent they are. Yet you still can't trust that they're going to come out with something that you like. You have to ease them or like direct them essentially, and like give feedback and say like,
yeah,
this is what
I mean, me and
like
Dark,
this is your shortcut.
me and Dark had a really long conversation about this last night, where we were talking about like PR representatives and how they put on the good face, but they're paid to say that stuff and et cetera, et cetera. Like even like the most transparent developer, like that's a marketing strategy at the end of the day, right? Um,
Mhm.
so just don't trust companies, please. It's not in your best interest to do that.
Yeah. They don't really care about your
Listen, if they
I don't know,
loved
man.
you so much, you'd be getting everything for free,
Yeah.
and you would be getting paid by them.
I don't know, man. I really like Type Moon.
But
Okay,
yeah.
Type Moon
And
really
liking a company that
Type,
doesn't.
Type Moon really doesn't like you. They like your money. They
That's
don't they don't
fine.
care about you as a person. So
You see that red saber though? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but they can still make bad products, so it's kind of whatever in a way.
Yeah,
can and
Right.
have. So
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like the way you have to look at it is you have to see how company balances, making money versus like how much they want to put in to make that money worth it for a consumer.
Is Grand Order
And
the
when
reason why
you look at something
they
like
remake
a
was?
game season pass, and the reason why it's not consumer friendly is because the amount that they're putting in for it to be consumer friendly is zero. But the amount that they're trying to get money out of you is 100%. Like,
yeah, I mean that was
they're
another
giving you no
argument.
information and you're giving all the money.
I mean
Yeah.
another argument too for the season pass was like, oh well, maybe they're just funding the DLC, and it's like, no. If the company is at the point where they're selling season passes for planned DLC, they have the funding already.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single dollar of that season pass is pure profit.
Mhm.
So
Like, do you think Nintendo does not give Smash money? That's
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like for the season pass, for the DLC for Smash, Nintendo's already putting forward the money.
they've already
They are paying the
allocated
people to
that
make it.
budget.
Yeah, it's already
The
coming out. It's
DLC is
just
planned. It's
yeah,
going to happen. The
Smash is a lot of money.
you paying for that DLC is not like it's not funding the DLC being made. The DLC
yeah,
is being made regardless.
yeah, and then they're making a profit on top of how much they're expecting, essentially.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like it's just bad. It's bad.
yeah.
Don't trust faceless corporate bodies,
Yeah.
please. Whatever
Anyway,
you do. Anyway, my shout out is Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a good game.
yes,
Do you
yes.
do you like Arthur Morgan more than John Marston?
I kind of do. Yeah, he's a lot funnier than John.
Really?
Yes.
I feel the other way.
I think he's a lot funnier than John like ever was. But I don't want to get too into Red Dead. It's a good game. Probably game of the year. So that's it.
Yeah. With toast, shout out to
Huh?
Collins, please.
Oh, my shout out is to I don't know what do I have to shout out this week. Uh, sure, I'll give it to Hinamaru, being really good sports anime.
Okay.
It's 24 episodes, so we still have some good stuff coming up in the works, even though the beginning's pretty slow.
And then your call out,
My shout out is to
you already
well,
did your shout out.
my shout out is to
Your call out.
Your call out.
is what's the thing coming up? What's it called?
You're a little bit soft, I think.
What? Hello?
Hello?
Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to be a little bit louder.
My shout out is coming up to
Your call out, Toast. Call
What the
out.
fuck
You
are you
okay, dude?
saying?
I'm looking at the thing I'm supposed to shout out.
You
You're
already
not
shouted out
shouting
something.
out any.
Oh, my call out? Oh.
Yes,
My
Toast.
shout out is to
You know, if you're gonna do this meme, you should probably fucking know what you're gonna throw out there to begin with.
Curly Air Force.
Okay, so you're
there-
calling out whatever that shit is.
Curly Air Force. Look at this pink plane.
What the fuck?
Weird. Can't
Okay.
make planes pink. That my shout out is to the upcoming
No.
the
Okay.
dark gritty isekai that's coming out in
Oh, shut up.
2019.
Dark. What's your shout
Spire
out?
knows what I'm talking about.
My shout out is going to be the Little Witch Academia Chamber of Time game.
Mhm.
Because I was having a lot of fun with that today,
Okay.
and I think it's definitely worth its sale price of $15. So pick that up while you can.
Is it better than Grief Syndrome?
What is that?
Is it better than Grief Syndrome?
I don't know what that is.
The Madoka Magica game.
Is that beat 'em up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Never heard of it. Never played it. But yeah, that game is pretty good.
Your call out?
My call out is going to be to all of the people that think that being against the existence and the announcement and the way Diablo Immortal was announced makes you an entitled gamer.
Oh, entitled gamers.
Furthermore, my call out is the idea of saying that gamers are quote unquote acting entitled and that company quote don't owe you anything.
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah.
They do. As a matter of fact, you might find this hard to believe, but companies owe the consumer literally everything. The
No, well,
consumer
okay.
owes the company nothing.
It's like
That's not how the dynamic works. Like you don't like
it's like this. It's like companies don't owe the consume anything in the same way that parents don't owe their children anything. It's like you could not feed your children, but if they die in the streets, then you have a slight problem on your hands, right? It's like
I don't even think it's in that way. I mean, I think it's
Well,
in that
it's
it's like you
more.
don't owe me. It's more of it's more of an employer-employee, honestly. Like, okay, fine. You
yeah.
don't owe your employer
It's like
anything. Don't
it's
go to
like
work.
there's a it's
Yeah,
like if
you're
you're
gonna fucking starve to death, right?
yeah,
Like
what
you're
I'm
just not
saying,
gonna
what I'm
get money.
saying is like if you're not following what you're essentially made to do, it's like you don't even really deserve that sort of title, right? It's like you're not
Yeah.
really a company any longer if you're not selling stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like you don't owe people a product that they want to buy. What?
It's like you call yourself a parent, but if you kill your children, it's like, well, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's very unfortunate that the reaction was like that, and you know,
It's all about toxic masculinity, dude.
toxic masculinity.
hmm Yeah.
It's
But
also
furthermore,
racially charged because the guy
Yeah.
that announced it was Asian.
yeah,
I've seen
Was he?
furthermore,
I didn't even notice.
yeah. Here's the thing. Well, because there were two different guys on stage. There was a white guy and a. Here's
Wasn't
the
that
thing.
white guy you?
Secretly,
The,
but I
the
go.
big idea here is that they deserve to get booed at their own convention, right?
Mhm.
Because there's only two paths that you can take here. Blizzard either knew what the reaction would be, and they didn't care because they thought that it was going to be their convention and no one would
Exactly,
react that way there.
exactly.
The second is that Blizzard is so incompetent to think that they can announce an inferior version of existing franchise's game on a platform it's not suited for, and people would enjoy that.
Mhm.
So those are really the only two paths. Like it's so easy, like it's so obvious and easy to sit there and say Hearthstone is successful on mobile because it's a card game. It works on mobile.
Mhm.
You know, there's no difference between play Hearthstone on PC and if you play Hearthstone on your phone.
Right, exactly.
When you look at Diablo and you're making a game, it's like, well, Diablo doesn't work on a phone just in the same way World of Warcraft wouldn't work on a phone or
Right.
Overwatch wouldn't work on a phone. You
Yeah,
can adapt it and quote unquote make it work, but it's not going to be as
Diablo
good
is
as the alternative, which is the main entry.
yeah, or it really
Um,
wouldn't necessarily even be like Diablo in a sense, right? Like,
I mean, you can essentially make Diablo on a phone. You can make an an isometric RPG work on a phone. Played them before, but the only way to make them successful would to be have horrible microtransactions anyway. So good luck.
yeah,
And if you think that this company is not going to do that, check out their other game. And if you think that that isn't something that you should boo, that's ridiculous. Like it's a complete moral like black area. Like it's not
right,
good. It's not. They're trying to put in the least amount of effort for the most amount of money,
right, exactly, exactly, exactly.
and that's just not a good practice. And furthermore, as a closing sort of idea, Blizzard also was incompetent in the announcement itself. Um, I mean, you just look around you. I'm not even. I'm not even like an fucking marketing analyst, and I'm like, here's an easy solution. You're saying you have far off or you have Diablo projects you can't quite announce yet.
Mhm.
At least one of them has to be safe enough for you to know you are making, whether it be coming out in 2 years, 4 years,
Right,
doesn't
right,
matter.
exactly.
All you have to do is give people the taste and calm their nerves. So what you could have done is you could have had in the either in the opening ceremony or if you wanted to have the 45-minute Diablo demonstration anyway,
Right,
which then you would have to have something further along than nothing. Because you can't dedicate that to a mobile game that isn't even far along in its own right.
right,
But all you would have had to do essentially is say, hey guys, we have two announcements to make. The first, and whichever order you want to do, I would recommend honestly saying here's the first one. We have a Diablo game coming mobile.
Mhm.
And we hope you enjoy it. Like, we hope you have fun with it. It's a side project for us. We want to try something we don't normally do for mobile.
Mhm.
And it's playable today on our floor, and it's also available on the App Store tonight.
Right.
Yeah,
Then you say, by the way, our other announcement is something you guys might be a little bit more excited about. And then you show a teaser that is just for Diablo 4 or whatever Diablo project you're working on.
you mean
Right.
Skyrim
It-
too?
That's what I was going to get to. Take something out of Bethesda's book from 3 this very year. They announced the Blades mobile game. Everyone was like, "What the fuck? Really? Is this it? We have the Elder Scrolls on the phone. Like, that's the only news we're getting." And then
Right.
Todd Howard is like, "Yeah, we don't even have jack shit to show for it, but we're making Elder Scrolls 6." And everyone went wild because they were like, "Well, thank God."
Right. Exactly.
And me personally as a fan, I'm like, I don't care that Elder Scrolls 6 is probably still 2 to 3 years away. I'm like, whatever. And like, the fact that you confirm that you're working on it and you're working on another new IP, like, I'm excited for them, but you're also not teasing me in a way that is saying, "Oh, when's it coming out?"
Right.
Maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after, who knows? It's like,
Mhm.
it's probably like at least 2 to 3 years out.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that was a good way to market it. And I don't understand how people can defend all these angles of Diablo Immortal and not realize that, these aren't people worth defending. They're not doing something good. This isn't a small indie dev that's like trying to work their heart out to make the best game that they want to deliver a message on or something.
Yeah.
This is these are people at the end of the day that were like, "Hey, let's look at Diablo. Let's take assets from the previous game
Right. Exactly.
and let's throw it on a phone. We'll see what works." And then, and another thing I was saying with Nier is this game is either going to fail because it's going to be $15 on an app store, or it's going to be free and have horrible microtransactions. Probably
Right.
the latter. So, like, why are you defending? Like, why are you defending a company that's essentially trying to drug people? They're
Right.
just going for
Well,
that.
again, the thing is, they know this is coming. That's the biggest. So it's fortunate, but I mean, again, they kind of deserve it.
Yeah,
They kind of know it. So
they should have known better.
yeah, exactly.
Or they did know better, tried to not care.
Yeah, and then they just exactly. Very unfortunate again, but again, we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully, it pans out for the better. But we can only hope. That I guess I'll just quickly do my shoutouts and call out.
Spire, what's your shoutouts and callouts?
Thank you, Toast, for repeating exactly what I said.
Yeah,
But,
but it's more courteous for someone else to ask you rather than you doing it yourself. It's kind of rude.
Thank you, Toast. Mine is my shout out is cheese grits. I haven't had them in a long time. I had them yesterday, and I'm a sucker for these sorts of like more, I don't know, like
Wait.
not like oatmeal-ish, but like again more like just like soup broth grit kind of like things that you can almost just like eat or drink.
like
Cheese grits?
just
Cheese grits.
just cheese grits?
Yeah, I like just cheese grits with like cheddar and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
I mean, I'm not gonna knock you on cheese.
But I don't know. It's like I really
Is
like.
I don't know, is that why you like cheesy anime?
God damn it, Toast. But yes, shout out to cheese grits. I really like stuff like that. But like homey stuff like that almost. And my call out is to people who are like, Rick. It's like what's a good manga
Oh
you might
no.
recommend me? And then I'm just like, I do my whole spiel. You guys, again, not only people here, but viewers out there, heard me say this or like a billion times, where it's like, you need to, it would be best if you recommend me, if you listed out some of the stuff that you've seen recently, what the stuff that you like, blah blah blah, and then they go like, yeah, well, I just kind of read whatever. I'm pretty open to anything. Like, don't like I can just kind of read whatever.
Spire
And
just
then
Spire just reminded me of my original call out.
no. Here's why I made it a call out. This is the kicker. And then after that, I suggest some random stuff, some stuff that I'll be like, oh, this is a little bit off the road. People might find it interesting, stuff like that, right? And then he's like, yeah, it seems like I might not like it. I'm just like, oh my god, you should. like,
You should
like,
totally read
I'm
this
open
one.
to anything. I don't like that.
yeah, I'm like, you should have. This is exactly why. Like, don't tell me this bullshit. Like, oh, just read whatever, and then tell me, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the look of that. Like, come on, man.
You like Berserk? You should read Goblin Slayer. No, I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, but yeah, very fuck these sorts of people. So I'll call out to that.
Yeah, my original call out was people that ask other people if a series is worth their time.
Worth the time. Do I get more out of it than I put it?
I've been seeing that like daily lately.
Oh.
Like, is Gridman worth my time? Is Goblin Slayer worth my time? And then people ask me that directly, and I'm like, I don't know what your time is worth.
Yeah.
So I'm not
it's
gonna
like,
answer that
are you
question.
like managing a company while you're watching like
Yeah, like I'm not gonna judge the worth of a series for you because
Yeah.
that's your opinion. Like I'm not gonna create an opinion for you.
What if it's
Fucking
your friend's
watch it.
opinion, Nier? Would you recommend an anime for me?
No, because I don't even know what the hell your tastes are. You're a fucking weirdo, dude.
Don't worry, I'll recommend an anime for you.
But
I understand your taste better than you yourself.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what someone who asks you that question is really looking for.
but again, unfortunate that people had to do stuff like this. But anyways, that's it for the shoutouts and callouts. Again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of 4-Player Animecast, episode 105. We're going to be doing 2 more episodes of this before we hit our stride for the winter 2018 preview shows. Of course, in 2 months or so, as the new year comes up, we are going to be having our infamous New Year's podcast with all of our awards shows and the like. So watch out for that. Watch out for the Winter 28 preview show. That's again coming up pretty swiftly after 2 episodes or so of the podcast for the fall 2018 shows. And yeah, again, we do this every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with a number 4, where we talk about the latest and greatest and Japanese animation media, including anime, manga, visual novels, light novels, web novels, and all other forms of Japanese animation entertainment. And if you like what we do, please follow us here. Follow us on our social media, Facebook and Twitter at 4PPAnimecast, Facebook page 4PlayerAnimecast, where we give updates on streaming, other stuff that we're doing, so on and so forth, as well as on our YouTube page, 4PlayerAnimecast. So yeah, we'll keep covering more pretty big names in the next, 2 episodes. We definitely have a lot of big names coming up. So, especially one that I think is an elephant in the room that we especially do need to cover. Maybe 2 elephants if you consider, like Kyoani's still a pretty worthy studio. So, we'll see to that. But as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye.